Welcome in to the CFB Nation All-America podcast, which can be found on the CFB Nation YouTube channel every Wednesday morning during the college football season. I'm Bill Trocchi, senior editor at sportingnews.com, and I'm joined by Bill Bender, senior writer here at sportingnews.com. Together, we will bridge the gap between Saturdays and give you the college football content you need each week during the season. Bill, say hello to the good folks here at CFB Nation and tell them what they'll be getting each week.
Yeah, and we wore the same outfit. We have the same name, the same kind of the same face, kind of the same clothes. We're gonna have to figure that out a little bit, Bill. And are we gonna go by Trocchi and Bender? I don't know. That's kind of what they do at Sporting News. But no, this is my, let's say, 9th year on the beat at Sporting News, maybe 10 in college football, and we've worked together for a few years. We have strong opinions on college football, good cross section of SEC, Big Ten, and really the whole country knowledge. And we're going to give this a try. So if you listen to us, I guarantee you'll be entertained. You'll be informed, and you'll be ready to go like we are for week one.
All right, today's show, we're going to talk about some transfer QBs, Notre Dame, and its relationship with the Big Ten. Bill Bender's got some spicy thoughts on that one. And then we're going to unveil our confidence contest, where the two Bills will go head-to-head in a bowl-style confidence pool each week to get you ready for the weekend. So section one, we're going to talk about transfer QBs. We had a fun transfer QB quiz on sportingnews.com this morning. I hope you took it, Bill. I hope you went 9 for 9 as well. But so as you look at, just the free agency aspect of the transfer portal, and it certainly has hit the quarterback position as hard or harder than any other position. What do you see when you think about all the transfer QBs heading into this year? And then is there a guy who you think is just, going to stand out at the end of the year when we have a list of the top 10 QB performers this year who were transfers, who's going to be near or at the top of that list?
Well, when you're dealing, one of the striking things about it is if you look at the 65 Power 5 teams, more than 20 are going to have a first-year starter that was a transfer quarterback. That's a third of the Power 5 teams. And they're not just, their names ranging from Caleb Williams, who I'm sure we'll talk about, and Spencer Rattler, who was a 5-star quarterback with a huge background, to guys that have been around the game forever. And the transfer quarterback I kind of like, the more I think about it, and it might make some people scoff, is I like the setup that Adrian Martinez has at Kansas State, believe it or not. I know he's turnover prone. I know he was in Nebraska forever. I know there was a tendency to make the big play, then turn around and throw one of those interceptions that made you shake your head. But I also know you're dealing with a good setup in terms of this was a team that had a +5 turnover ratio last year, which was up on the top half of the country. They have Colin Klein at offensive coordinator. And those who remember Colin Klein, what did he do? He ran the football. He didn't turn the ball over. And he did that all the way to New York as a Heisman finalist. Now, I'm not saying Adrian Martinez will be that, but I think he could surprise on a team that's bound to surprise there in Kansas State and Manhattan this year.
Yeah, you're right. I think 6 top 25 teams are going to be starting transfer quarterbacks. One of them it's going to be Oklahoma, and Dylan Gabriel will be there, guys, coming in from UCF, reuniting with his offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby. I think he's going to be in a good position to succeed. I think Oklahoma is still, probably the most talented team in the Big 12. Baylor might be the pick that people are leaning towards, but I still think, Gabriel came in, thought about transferring to UCLA for a few weeks, then saw the opening at Oklahoma, saw a clear path to being the starter. A fair number of these transfers have had to win the job in the spring or still in battles in fall camp. Gabriel came in, won the job right away in the spring. There's been no chance. So I think his path for success looks pretty good for someone who, like I said, he missed, I think, the last 9 games or 8 games last year at UCF after he got hurt. He's in position to really be kind of a bounce back, not necessarily from performance, but from an injury perspective.
Super efficient quarterback. You're right, Bill. And I think in that offense with the skill position talent around him and some familiarity, obviously, with Josh Heupel, who's loosely tied to Oklahoma as well. I'm sure that was a recommendation in there at some point. So, yeah, I mean, when you're at the controls end of an offense like that, Dylan Gabriel, not only, I mean, Oklahoma quarterbacks get to New York. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me if he did, as long as he stays healthy in that offense.
Is there a QB you're a little bit worried about? Maybe you're not sure the path they took, the decision they made, that it's going to turn out strong for them this year?
Well, you and I talked about this a lot, that there were guys that transferred that had starting jobs at Power 5 places, and they still transferred where they were in maybe less of a chance to start, which was peculiar. I mean, not a Charlie Brewer type situation, obviously, but there are a couple like that. One guy that's obviously going to get a lot of attention that we're going to be watching very closely all year is Quinn Ewers. So I'm not saying Quinn Ewers is going to struggle right off the bat. I think one of the things to keep in mind, we have not seen him throw a pass at the collegiate level. We've seen him get an NIL deal. We've seen him go to Ohio State. We've seen him transfer to Texas. We've seen him help bring Arch Manning to Texas. And we've seen everybody project his future without him throwing a pass, which, I went back, looked at Sam Ehlinger, for example. If you go on his bio, it says he was 23-6 when he was healthy throughout the game, which is a pretty good career for a starting quarterback. But in those 4 years that Ehlinger was on campus, Texas was 32-18. So it's just a case to me that no matter what Quinn Ewers does this year, the expectations are always going to be too high. If he goes out and plays really well against Alabama and they lose, people are still going to expect more out of Quinn Ewers. And it can't be an easy job knowing that Arch Manning's going to be coming soon. So I think he's just in an impossible situation to please.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are you going to start talking about Arch Manning, figuratively breathing down his neck right off the bat before he even throws a pass again? So, yeah, you're right. He's in a tough spot. But if you believe, all of the analysts who have seen him at these camps and everything like that, he is ready to live up to the hype, and he has got the talent. He's got the Trevor Lawrence level talent, and he could be able to do it. I'm looking at a guy like Indiana's Michael Penix, who transferred to Washington, didn't have a clear path to the starting job, is still battling Dylan Morris and Sam Heward. Morris started all last year for almost the whole season. Heward's a 5-star. He's a legacy. So it's a crowded quarterback room. I loved Penix during that pandemic season. Of course, he's had so many injuries. It's too bad that he hasn't been able to stay on the field and stay healthy, because he could be electrifying at times. But I kind of think maybe he looks at the group of 5 level for this season, where he's got a clear path, where he's got an opportunity to join maybe an upper third team in a conference versus Washington, who was 4-8 last year. They're picked middle of the conference, probably best case scenario. They've got 9 conference games. They got Michigan State this year. I don't know. I don't know that he's in the best situation. He's
got to stay healthy, and you said it. There's 3 viable quarterbacks in that situation, not to mention a new coach. So that I don't even want to call it lightning in a bottle with Penix at Indiana. He was amazing that year. I mean, he really vaulted that team to be the second best team in the Big Ten. And you want him to do well there. Obviously, though, he's that guy that we were just talking about that had a starting job, that had a little trouble with injuries, and then he goes somewhere where, Ford's a guy that obviously there is a legacy there. They want to see him play, and Morris played well in spots last year. So with Kalen DeBoer, I guess it's all bets are off in terms of who's going to start there.
Let's talk about the 2 Oklahoma starting quarterbacks who both technically went to USC schools, with a USC out on the West Coast and a USC in the East Coast. Who do you like to have a better season this year, Caleb Williams or Spencer Rattler?
Caleb Williams, just because the Pac-12 is going to be set up for him to be more successful. I mean, when you look what they got him Oregon's leading rusher. They got him Jordan Addison, who's a first-round NFL receiver who I think they'll form an immediate connection and do very well. They got him Lincoln Riley's play calling, which has been brilliant. And when Caleb Williams, you're looking at a guy that had 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, incredible playmaking ability. I mean, I look at him and I see a future number 1 pick because he does the things that NFL quarterbacks do. And we saw that in spots. There were ups and downs last year. I'm not saying Spencer Rattler's not going to play well. I actually like him at South Carolina too with Shane Beamer. I think he will show attributes that NFL scouts are going to like against a tougher schedule. It's different going up against TCU than it is on the road at Arkansas. Or, they played Georgia early in the year. So I actually think Spencer Rattler is a guy that could probably go 8-4 as a starter this year and be better off for it when he gets to the NFL. So very interesting question there. And I know there's a lot of USC quarterbacks that have went out and a lot that have come in and moved around. But I do like Caleb Williams' potential in that offense. And, there's a reason he's listed right behind Stroud and Bryce Young in a lot of those Heisman discussions.
Yeah, you talked to Rattler in the spring. He joins a team that overachieved a little bit last year, but had nothing at quarterback. I mean, they literally started a graduate assistant at quarterback at one point. So he fills a huge need. You talk about a guy who had a clear path to the starting job. He comes in to a team that's, Beamer is rebuilding nicely. They had a huge hole at quarterback. Rattler is filling it. Out at USC, they still have big problems on both offensive line, defensive line. You mentioned the skill players they have. You just got to hope for Williams' sake, he's standing upright and he can, be able to throw the ball before he gets hit, use these skill players, and, USC can produce the kind of offense that on paper, at least with these skill guys,
right,
that they will be able to do.